Okay, so this one I'm going to preface by saying Neville tells the story about how he was responsible for something his first wife did, and she needed him to do something, and it put him into the position to finally get a divorce from her, because prior to this she wouldn't agree to it. And in those days you had to get, it was a little more strict on how you would get a divorce so that he could marry his second wife, who he fell in love with. But he explains in here how, when you people do things to you, or, whatever they do in your life story, you are somehow the cause of it, right? If you want something, they're probably going to act in a certain way or do something that's going to forward that series of events that are going to lead you to where you want to be. And sometimes those things are not pleasant. And this happened to me with my first wife. It had to do with adultery and everything. And at the time it was shocking. It was painful. I was angry. I felt violated. But now I know that I was really the cause of that because of the series of events that had to go through to get me out of that. So you should forgive these people, because these people are all you pushed out. That's the gist of it. So listen to this story by Neville. I hope you got this far, because now you're going to hear Neville.
That is the story of the Christian mystery. One must be all. So, the first cry on the cross, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. And they do not know what they do. They go blindly on under compulsion, executing the unseen imaginal acts of humanity. And they move under compulsion. To pick this up, I told the story. I was severely criticized for it by a lady at a dinner party one night when Fred Bell, who is now gone from this world, and he gave a party at the Ambassador Hotel. And I had told this story about 2 weeks before, and one of his great, I would say, contributors, who would come and always do his big check at the end of a year or end of a month to keep that going. And she was most critical that night. As I said, I didn't feel about that night at all. And she said, I can't quite understand how you could take the platform, an audience of 2,600, 1,000 who could not get in, all overflowing, at the Fox Wilshire, and tell what you told concerning your wife. That was my first wife. I told a simple story to explain that everything in this world must be forgiven. I don't care what it is. When I met the girl who now bears my name, who is the mother of my daughter, the very first moment I met her, I knew she is going to be my wife. She didn't know it, but I knew it. I said to myself, she doesn't know it, but she is going to be my wife. We sailed for Barbados 6 months later, and she met my mother, met my family, met them all. We all loved her. That was back in 1936. In New York City, because of some archaic law, it's now passed. You couldn't get a divorce unless she was insane for 7 years or adultery. And that's all. The Orthodox Christian churches have sewed the whole thing up so that it made life miserable and made everything simply, a burden to all. When I met her, I had just such an entangled background. And here's New York City, the most archaic city in the world concerning its laws. I went to bed and slept as though I were happily married to the girl who now bears my name. I did not have any physical emotion with her. Just she was sleeping there and I am here, and it's blissful. I did that for one solid week. Then comes a telephone call from the court one morning, telling me that I must come down to the federal court on Tuesday morning. Well, I was groggy. It was early in the morning, and in those days I didn't rise as early as I do now. And so I just said, all right, and I hung up. After I hung up, I wondered, what on earth is all this nonsense? What have I done? I must be in court. I haven't received the summons. Not a thing. I must be in court. Well, on Tuesday morning, that I'm supposed to be there, I made no effort to go there. And about 9:30, the phone rang. It's the court. And they say to me, you're supposed to be here in court this morning. You meet at 10. And I said, what on earth am I supposed to be in court for? They said, well, it happens that your wife is arrested. And you thought maybe you could throw some light on the reason for her arrest. That's why we're asked you to come down. Well, I wasn't shaved. I simply threw myself into the clothes and off I went to a taxi down to the court. And I got there just as they were bringing her in. Man whispered into the three judges, one judge's ear, that I was in the audience. The judge asked me to take this. You don't have to swear, but will you please take the stand and throw some light on the behavior of your wife? She tells me you've been separated now for almost 14 years. I said, yes. Is it a religious reason why you've been separated? I said, no, none whatsoever. We knew we were wrong the very first day we got married. We knew it was completely a failure. Right away. Then read the case. She was picked up for shoplifting. They went to her home and found other things in her home. I said, what do you say for this? I said, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think that really she is a shoplifter. As far as I'm concerned, she just moved under compulsion. Taking into consideration her age, she's 8 years my senior, and she's passing through a certain emotional state. And do be lenient. We have a son, and he lives with me. And I don't want anything to happen to his mother that would cast any shadow on his life. He is a wonderful boy. He is in my charge by law. He is in my home, lives with me, and I don't want anything to happen to her that in any way would reflect upon my son. The judge said, in all of my years on the bench, I have heard no plea by one for another who has every reason in this world to get her committed, because that in any other state would be enough for what he wanted to the divorce. And yet he pleads for her. He sentenced her to 6 months. And then on my plea, he suspended it. She met me on the outside and said, Neville, that was a very decent thing to do. Give me my papers. She knew I was looking for them. And my dancing partner told her I was looking for to serve the papers and therefore to be scarce and move out of New York City. So she did. But she had to commit the act, and they had to call me and ask me to throw light upon that. How could I condemn her? Who was the actual cause of her shoplifting? I slept as though I were blissfully married to the girl who now bears my name. And I had to get the evidence. I had to get some reason to bring the action. And here my wife actually gave me the papers. I said, I don't have the papers with me. She said, I'm driving home to your place right now, and you can give me the papers. That's illegal, to serve your own papers. But she drove up to my hotel where I lived. I went to my room, came down to the lobby, and gave her the papers. Did my own serving. Now that is an illegal thing in this world. But then I got my divorce. In the city of New York, then I could marry the girl who now bears my name. And when I told that, I told it only to tell people of that one word, the first word on the cross, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They're all moving under compulsion. And the unseen cause.
So right there you have the story of Neville Goddard, how he got his divorce from his first wife, how he, through his imaginal act, caused his wife to act under compulsion and actually shoplift. That was the method, and then he would have to come to her rescue, which would then cause her to relent and give him the divorce. So the whole idea of Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. The people in your life do not know what they do when they're acting under compulsion. You are actually pulling the strings through your imaginal acts, or at least your essential being is pulling the strings. So I posted another video on a similar topic, but I'll take that audio and hopefully append it right here after I'm done speaking. It's also from Neville Goddard. For, this other instance where this lady who he knew, she wanted a new roof on her house, she wanted a new tape recorder, she wanted all these things, and her imaginal act actually caused a robbery of their residence, and through being robbed and having insurance money come through, she was able to get a new roof and a new sewing machine and a new tape recorder. That's what it was, a sewing machine, tape recorder, and a new roof on the house with money to spare. And the guy who robbed their house, how could you be mad at him? He was doing them a favor. He was acting under compulsion from her essential being, pulling the strings. This is almost like, for lack of a better word, almost like a witchcraft in a way. But you don't have to do any spells or incantations. You do it all in your imagination, and it happens. You just need to trust that it will happen, and your essential being will take care of it.
So let me share with you a story that was given to me last Friday night. This lady's husband's name is Ray. When I use the word Ray, I am speaking of her husband. She said, last year, Ray said to me, it's going to cost $1,000 to put on a roof, a new roof. We need the roof. It'll cost $1,000. She didn't say they could not afford it. He just said, I saw the new roof. Right then and there, I saw the new roof. Then she said, I was working at my sewing machine. It's an old one, but it was adequate. It did the job. But I would like a new one, she said. And so I imagined a new one. There was the old one, but I imagined the new one. Then I was putting away my tape recorder, and I felt how heavy this thing is. I would like a new, lightweight one. I put the old one away, the heavy one, but I thought I would like a new one that is light of weight. So I put away the new one that was light of weight. Then she said, Ray said to me, my new shoes hurt. He just bought them and they were hurting. But I wanted him to have shoes that did not hurt. That in my imagination. All this was last year. Then came the turn of the calendar year, and we had a robbery. No, they didn't steal the roof, but they took the other movable objects. And this past week I got a settlement from the insurance company, pardon me, for $2,050 odd. I now have my nice new sewing machine. I have my nice lightweight tape recording. Ray's shoes do not hurt. And there is money for the roof, and much, much, much left over. Now, who instigated the robbery? Now on Friday you will hear, if you go to service, there are 7 words on the cross. 3 taken from Luke, 3 from John, and 1 from Matthew and Mark. The same one from Matthew and Mark, which is the 4th one. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? That's the one taken from these 2 Gospels. But the first one used on the cross is from Luke. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Everything is moving under compulsion. No one sees the invisible causation. No one sees the invisible imaginal acts that is putting pressure upon everyone who is bent in a certain direction to perform the needed act to produce the imaginal act that is completely unseen by the world. Here, every natural act, natural effect, has a spiritual cause and not a natural. A natural cause only seen. It is a delusion of the fading vegetable memory. Now in her letter to me she said, these things I remember. They were all last year, but I remember them. In her case, she is blessed that she can remember when Ray said to her, it's going to cost $1,000 to put on the new roof, and I saw the new roof. Even at the moment, maybe we thought we could not now afford the new roof. When I used my sewing machine, it was adequate, it was good, it did the job, but I would like a new one, and I saw a new one. And when I put away my tape recording, it's all right, it was adequate, but it was heavy when I put it away. I thought, I've seen all these nice, new, lightweight ones, and I would like a nice, lightweight one, good one. Now she said, I have all of them. I have my nice, new, lightweight, my new machine, raised shoes that do not hurt, and the roof will be a new one. The money is there, and much left over. So the first cry on the cross, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. They're all asleep, moving under compulsion. And men and women, unwittingly, most of them, some wittingly, are setting the whole thing in motion. And they're simply moved. So someone given to the feeling of getting something for nothing, so he takes the tape recorder. If he sells it for anything, that's profit. It costs him nothing. No matter what it cost her, whatever he could get for it, that was sheer profit. If he goes out and finds something that he stole for $100, and he could move it quickly for $15, and one gets a bargain, he made $15. It cost him nothing. His investment was nothing. And there are those in the world who think that way. They're all passing through the furnaces. So the first word on the cross, a word on the cross does not mean a single word. It's a completed thought. So the shortest word is, I thirst. But there are 2 words. Then the next one from John is, it is finished. The 3 words. All right. Still, it is 1 word when you take the 7 words. So the first word is from Luke. Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. And then comes Luke's second. Then comes John's first. Then comes Matthew and Mark. And then comes 2 from John. And then Luke completes it. Father, into thy hands I commit my spirit. So when he said, and this little punctuation mark has been pushed around in the second word on the cross, which is from Luke, And the thief turns to him and asks him to have mercy on him. And he said, Behold, I say unto you, today thou shalt be with me in paradise. Well, you could alter the punctuation mark and put the comma after today. But no, leave it just as it is. Behold, I say unto you, today thou shalt be with me in paradise. This is now resurrection. And when I am lifted up, I will draw all men unto me. For all things are in my own wonderful human imagination. And I am all imagination. So when I am lifted up, I draw all. At the very moment, I draw them all with me. But they individually must have the experience that I have had. But they are already redeemed because I took them up with me. Because all things exist in the human imagination. And anyone who is resurrected, well, he can't be resurrected and leave behind him any part of himself. So the whole vast world is raised up with him. I am telling you experience. The heavenly chorus sings when this thing took place. They sing the fall, actual fall into division, and the resurrection into unity. They sing it out. And then the regeneration through resurrection from the dead. They actually sing it out. And the word, it is finished, I heard it, but I didn't sing it. The heavenly chorus sang it. When I walked by and everyone was made perfect, as I was perfect. And then at the very end, the chorus sang out, it is finished. That was the sixth word on the cross. And the last one is when this garment comes off. And that is the 31st Psalm, the 5th verse. Into thy hands I commit my spirit. Complete the verse. Thou hast redeemed me, O Lord, faithful God. That was the promise at the beginning. I would fall into division and become fragmented, dwelling in all, that not a thing in this world could be apart from me. Because how could I be apart from something that I'm going to influence? Because all things by a law divine in one another's being mingled. If I'm not penetrating you now, I couldn't see you. You couldn't hear me if I did not penetrate you and you penetrate me. So all things by a law divine in one another's being mingled. So when I am lifted up, I take with me my entire universe, my whole vast world, knowing that every one that is now shadowed in that world will have a repetition of the same experiences. For one fell into division, and then resurrected into unity, bringing all back together into the one. So in her case, I can't tell you how thankful I am that she shared it with me. That she could now actually feel that the robbery, which seemed at the moment as a shock, she lost the tape recorder, she lost this, all the movable objects. And then came the settlement from the insurance company for $2,050 odd, which replaced these with the new ones, all the light ones, and enough to put on the roof, and then still left over. So Father, forgive them. Yes, the thieves of thieves, it's yourself pushed out anyway.
Now, those two stories are from two different lectures, two different Neville lectures, and I had probably heard them at different times, not thinking of the other one when I was listening to one of them, and not realizing that they're conveying the same exact idea. So I was happy to put them both together in this one video, and hopefully enough people listen to it from beginning to end and it clicks for them. So that's that. So thanks for listening. Please, like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. See you later.